Record. Hey everyone, we are so happy that you're able to be on this call with us or listening at home later in the day or later this week. My name is Karen O'Sullivan and I'm here with Gayle Gruenberg, and we are talking about how to create a healthy kitchen to help you create a healthier life. As I said, for those who don't know me, I'm Karen O'Sullivan. I am an integrative nutrition health coach and the founder of Appetites for Life. And I work with women who want to reclaim their energy and help them do that by tuning into their bodies, to tune up their health, and to raise their volume. So today, as I said, we're going to talk about being able to do that in the kitchen, to organize your kitchen and your pantry and create a healthier space for you and your family. I'm going to turn it over to Gayle for a moment and let her introduce herself and tell you guys all about her.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gayle Gruenberg. I'm the Chief Executive Organizer of Let's Get Organized, based in Westwood, New Jersey. My team and I help clients make space for blessings by creating systems that work for their unique, busy lives. And of course, that includes having an organized kitchen. Now, Karen, we've known each other for about 2 years, and I'm curious, what exactly is an integrative nutrition health coach?
You're probably not the only one, Gayle, so it's probably a good thing you brought that to the table. In the medical field right now, there's a big trend towards integrative health and functional health. And basically what we're doing is moving to looking at the body in a holistic view. And health coaches, integrative health coaches, have been on the brink of that for years. So we're ahead of the game. And what we're doing is helping clients tap into their intuition to create health in all areas of their life. So in my practice, I work mainly with food, but I also look at what is creating imbalance in the person's life. What is draining their energy, both on the plate and in their relationships or in their spirituality or their relationship with the world or their exercise routine and so forth. So we take a look at the whole picture, and then we help to set goals. So I help set goals with my clients to help achieve the results that they want and make sure that those goals are realistic, and then support them throughout that and motivate them throughout the process. So again, we're looking at a holistic view of things, because you can't just take one part and fix it without looking at what else is going on, right? And I'm sure you have the same thing when you go into someone's home and you want to organize it. We have to look at the bigger picture. What do they want to create, and for what purpose? So what we're here to talk about today is to have an organized kitchen and pantry and why it's so important. What are the essentials or the must-haves for your pantry? How an organized kitchen can encourage healthy eating, and also, how this is going to create space for blessings, which I know is your main focus in your business, and I absolutely love it. So I am so happy to have you on board. I'm so happy to collaborate with you and to use your experience as a professional organizer to give us such important information about how to set ourselves up for success. I know that many of my clients, Gayle, are often very intimidated by the kitchen, and it's not so much that they don't know how to cook, but it's overwhelming when there's a mess. I'm a mom of two. There's stuff in my kitchen everywhere all the time. And, book bags and lunch bags and crayons and coloring, and everything ends up on the kitchen counter. And when it comes time to go to eat or to make dinner, I'm like, I don't want to clean everything first. I just want to, I have to cook with a clean kitchen. And I don't want to go through the whole process, and nothing can be found, and everything's a mess. So, I'm sure I'm not the only one in this boat. So let's get this started by asking, as we said, the kitchen is often considered the heart of the home. So in your opinion, how important is it to organize the kitchen?
It's extremely important, Karen. And I'd like to echo what you said about looking at the whole picture of someone's life when you're planning to make healthy meals, when you're organizing. Everything, like you said, is integrated and nothing stands by itself in a vacuum. And I'm glad you asked how important it is to keep the kitchen organized. It's definitely the heart of the home. Families tend to congregate there, and everything that comes into the house tends to get dumped there. So keeping it organized is key to managing a busy household. And before I even go into the process that I use, sometimes it's just a very simple answer in terms of a place for everything and everything in its place. Now, everyone's heard that, but it's totally true when it comes to the kitchen. So when I organize a kitchen, I use the 7 C's process that I came up with for Make Space for Blessings. The first thing I do is to consult with the family to find out what their lifestyle is like and how the space needs to function for them. We consider their time, their space, and their dietary needs. For example, I keep a kosher home, so I need separate areas. Oh, sorry, everything just moved around here for me. I need separate areas for meat and dairy. Hold on. Do me a favor.
I'm putting up your 7 C's of organizing while you're talking so people can follow along here.
Oh, thanks. It just took my notes away.
Oh, okay. Let's take it off. And back to Gayle.
Hello again. Exit full screen. Here we go. Okay. Thanks so much. Okay. So as I was saying, what I do is I find out from the family what is most important to them and what needs to be accommodated for their lifestyle, how the space needs to function for them, considering the time that they have and their dietary needs. So in my example, I have a kosher kitchen, so I need my separate areas for meat and dairy. So what we do is when I work with a client, we go through the kitchen, one counter, drawer, cabinet at a time, and clear it of what doesn't belong there. Then we categorize what stays and we assign zones for everything. In some families, that might include a command central area, which is probably something I do with every client that I work with. Everyone has stuff coming through the kitchen, and if they're going to manage the home, chances are they're doing it in the kitchen. So they need Command Central, where they have the calendar, the mail is processed, phones get charged, and school supplies are kept. And
I like that.
yeah, thanks.
I need one of those.
We can do that. I'll have to show you some pictures of a project that we did a couple of weeks ago. It was absolutely perfect. We contain everything once we know what stays so that it's easy to control on a daily basis. Putting like with like and storing things where they're used, like, for example, all pots are in one place, all preparation utensils go together. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout the organizing process, we discuss some of the underlying causes of disorganization. And I coach my clients to become aware of whatever emotions and habits they have that might be contributing to their organizing challenges. So an aside, I tend to work with people who are chronically disorganized. And sometimes there's the underlying belief system that we need to tap into to figure out what is going to make the systems that we implement stick. So that, in a nutshell, as you saw with the 7 C's, is how we can set up the kitchen. Now, Karen, I know you have expertise in setting up the pantry. Can you tell us how to organize the pantry to encourage healthy eating, and what are some staples that we need to have on hand to create healthy meals?
Absolutely. I just love the idea of the Command Central station in the kitchen. I think everybody needs to kind of take that idea and figure out where they can create that. When we're looking at the pantry, you definitely want to use that space, however big or small it is, to create, to encourage healthy eating. And so there are 4 ways that I do that. First of all, make sure your pantry is stocked properly. Don't just make it a space for junk food and snacks and big, enormous boxes from Costco. Stock it properly by buying healthy items. So you get your beans in there, you get canned tomatoes or grains, and where you put these products, Gayle, makes a big difference. And I know you probably deal with this in professional organizing as well. So once I stock it properly, I make sure that my pantry is organized in the way that my healthy foods and the foods I'm going to use the most for meals is in the center, is at my eyesight, my eye level. And then I put things like snacks and maybe some treats or sweets on the bottom or on the top shelves. Or if you have a small pantry, you don't have a top or bottom, put it in the back. But you know that we eat with our eyes, and when we're hungry and we're just rummaging through the pantry or the cabinets looking for something to eat, of course we're going to go for what hits our eyes first, right? So, and the other thing I do is I put the snacks that I don't want my kids to eat or see or beg for on a daily basis, definitely out of their outside. So that goes way at the top. And then the third step I do is to put like things together. So make sure you put all the canned tomatoes together, you put all the beans together, you put your dried fruit together, your cereals together. It just makes it so much easier when you know where everything is in the kitchen. The fourth thing is to put things in clear containers. I find this really helpful. Just visually, things become more appealing. So, for example, I'll put like my grains in clear containers like this. If you want to label them, you can do that as well. And I also use, to make this easy, I save those jars from tomato sauces and from applesauce and other things, pickle jars, whatever you buy at the store in a jar, and I clean them out well, and I save them, and I reuse those for things like grains or beans or dried fruit. Because again, when I visually see something that then I'm going to be more inclined to eat that. So with that, Gayle, keep the chocolate and the candy out of the clear jars. Keep them in the plastic that you have to take a couple steps to open them. And yes, as you said, label maker is a organizer's best friend. Absolutely. So those are some of my tips to organize your pantry.
That's great. And we talked about the essential components of an organized kitchen. Now, what makes it holistic?
Well, again, when you're setting up yourself for success in the kitchen and encouraging healthy eating, you're treating every part of your body, right? You're encouraging good health around your whole family. So, as we mentioned before, some people are just so overwhelmed with cooking, and it's just so easy to just say, oh, forget it, we're ordering in again, or we're going out to eat again, or we're just going to microwave some meals or something. But when you have things set up for success, and you have a pantry full of grains and beans and diced tomatoes and chicken broth or vegetable broth, coconut milk is another one of my favorites, dried fruits, nuts, all these things are encouraging healthier eating. And the next step after that, when you work with a health coach, someone like me who's going to say, hey, I have this ability to put meals together, and let me teach you how to do that. So the more you know about these products, the less intimidated you're going to be by them. You're going to not be overwhelmed anymore. So you're reducing some stress that's in the kitchen. And you're just going to start creating more of a holistic health all around in your home and in your family. So that answers that.
Great. I have to tell you, I'm so excited about the seminars that you give that I haven't yet been able to come to, but I know you did avocados, dates, chickpeas. These are three of my favorite things. So if I were to learn how to utilize them better, then it's like a no-brainer to be able to incorporate them into a more healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, and that's the thing, with cooking, I feel like, there's been a trend towards, Food Network becoming very popular, and people like chefs becoming like celebrities, and people have this idea that, well, more people are getting into cooking, which I love. But there's also this idea for the beginner cook that you have to cook like this professional chef, and you don't. So just take one simple ingredient and learn how to master that ingredient. So like with the avocado, which is always on my shelf, it's not in my pantry, but it's on my shelf. Or on my counter, what are the 5 things you can do with an avocado? Look up online, go on Pinterest, just discover it so that those foods aren't intimidating to you anymore. So like tomorrow, we're going through chickpeas, as you mentioned, and 3 different ways you can use the chickpea. Chickpeas are cheap and easily stored in your pantry. So when you're looking and you're looking for a quick snack, you can just whip out some hummus, or you're looking for a dessert. We're going to be making chickpea blondie bars. We never thought you could make like a chocolate chip blondie out of chickpeas, but you can. It's super fun.
And it must be ridiculously high in protein.
Yeah, it is. It's high in protein, and it's ridiculously cheap too, because chickpeas will cost you what, like $1 per can or less. So a great way to utilize the pantry. And some of the other ways that we create healthy food out of our pantry is you can make grain bowls. These are becoming hugely popular.
Yeah.
All these different grains. You have brown rice, you have quinoa, you have millet. You can switch it up and combine it with different greens and vegetables. You can quick make soups. If you have broth and grains and some beans and chop up some veggies, you have a soup. Pastas, another thing to keep great on hand and combine it with some vegetables, and even curry. That's becoming very popular these days too. When you have some coconut milk, you get some spices, you get some broth, you throw it in with some noodles or rice, and there you go. Voila, dinner served. So that's how your pantry can serve you.
You just made a really good point, because many of us, we kind of get stuck in a rut of what we know. But when we branch out to different kinds of cultures and cuisines, we may tap into something we've never tried before that we might really love, and that's really good for us.
Mm-hmm. And easy to make.
And easy to make. There you go.
Absolutely. Definitely branch out. The standard American diet has got to be the worst diet out there. So we need to take a look and start experimenting with other flavors besides sweet and salty.
So well said.
So, let's get back to the kitchen. And I want to ask you, what do you think are the essential components of an organized kitchen? For me, it's a good pot and pan and a Dutch oven. But what do you think?
Oh my gosh. Well, basically now you're I am not the cook in the family. There is another member of my family who is currently pursuing a culinary degree at Johnson & Wales. So you might want to ask him.
Okay.
But yeah. But essentially, I would say the important things in a kitchen are what you use on a regular basis. Like you said, you might need a Dutch oven and a good frying pan or saute pan. For someone who has a different dietary need, such as myself with a kosher kitchen, you might need two of everything. So the most essential parts are what you actually use. And I find sometimes in kitchens, people have multiple items of the same thing. And they might use one favorite knife or one stirring spoon or whatever it is. So what I tend to do to organize a kitchen is to help pare down to the essential items so that they're not overstocked with the things that they think they might need. And I'll have to defer again to my son, who has said there is no such thing as a unitasker. You might be able to use one gadget for a multitude of things. So you might not need every single thing out there, which can lead to over shopping and cluttering. Mm-hmm. So too much of a good thing is still too much.
I like that because, when you walk into stores like Williams-Sonoma or other stores and you're like, ooh, I need that. Ooh, yeah, pineapple core. Ooh, tomato squisher, whatever is out there. I mean, there's gadgets for everything, but it's so easy for your kitchen just to become a space of clutter. And again, when you're cluttered and you're not able to find things right, you're not able to get motivated to do things. And this, I'm sure, is relevant for every room in the house. So I think that's great advice to everyone listening. Really take a look at what you really do use in the kitchen and get rid of what you don't. If something's been sitting there for 5 years because someone thought you should have a pressure cooker and you thought that was a really cool idea, but you never use it, let's get rid of it, because chances are you're probably never going to use it, right?
And there are a lot of people out there who would love to receive it. It's not like people will be throwing things away. Many of my clients don't want to feel wasteful, and they don't remember, there might be someone you could donate that item to who really wants it, and you're giving it a new life, and you're making somebody really happy.
Yeah, and that could help somebody else create blessings in their own home.
Totally.
I love that. So, okay, great. So, as we've mentioned a few times, it makes space for blessing as your holistic theme as a professional organizer. So can you just tell us a little bit about more of how you came up with that and why you've made that the center of your practice?
Sure. Actually, the short story as to how I came up with it is now I've been an organizer for a bit over 13 years, and a little bit during that time I started to delve deeper into my own Judaism and spirituality. And the more I did, the more I saw the connection between the Torah and spiritual values and organizing. So I see the Torah as the ultimate organizing book. And just out of that came the phrase, make space for blessings, which pretty much means what it says. When we take a look at what we have and decide if it still fits us, and let go of that which doesn't, keeping what does, we create the space for a life that is aligned with our core values. And for some families, as we're discussing with the food, that might mean having the tools and ingredients to make a healthy meal. So not only are they making food that feeds their bodies, they are feeding their souls as well by bonding in the kitchen when they prepare the food. I mean, how many of us, although I might not be the cook in the family, if I'm in the kitchen, my kids will come in and we'll chat. And then when the food is made, we all sit down and we put away the phones and we talk to one another and we forge deeper relationships. And from the Jewish perspective, if you'll give me a moment to go off on that tangent, Judaism sort of builds this bonding experience into the week with the observance of the Sabbath, which I'm going to call Shabbat. So on Friday night, which starts the Shabbat, we light candles to welcome Shabbat in, and in a traditional Jewish home, men will go to the synagogue for evening services. And then when they come home, the family sings some prayers and then sits down to a special delicious dinner. So food there is central to the experience of spirituality. And I also want to elucidate that in Judaism, there's a blessing for everything, which includes the food. So the blessing we say depends on where the food comes from, whether it's the ground, a tree, grain, a vine, or everything else. And why do we bless the food? Because it reminds us that everything we have comes from God, and it elevates the mundane to the divine. So when we ingest food that is holy, we make our bodies holy as well.
I love that. I can totally feed off of that. I'm coming from a Christian upbringing and perspective, and you always say grace before meal. We always offer up thanks, and it's the same thing. You want, and even if you take that just from a spiritual or mindful point of view, saying grace is just a great way to bring conscious eating into your life. So many of us eat so quickly, and the family is just not there for the meals anymore. And it's not a center or a core value anymore. And we need to bring that back, because eating in the car or eating while you're walking, eating on the go or at your desk is not healthy for your body. There's an old, I think it's Ayurvedic saying or some Eastern philosophy saying that if you eating standing up is a quick way to death or something of that sort. Yeah. So even the ancient philosophers, even the ancient healers knew that, sitting down and pausing and eating a meal and blessing that meal is the way to create health. So again, it's not just what's on your plate, but I love what you said, it's bringing that mindfulness, that thankfulness in. And again, that's why this is holistic. This is why we're creating a holistic kitchen, because it's not just about the pots and pans and where things go, but let's bring that spirituality in. Let's connect our bodies to the earth, to the food that's been created, and to God as well. So, that's something that I always encourage my clients to do, is to just stop and pause and express a moment of gratitude and grace before they eat a meal. So I love we're on this, it's so funny, Gayle. We do totally different things, but we're on the same page. Our core values are aligned, and what we're trying to get people to do is very similar. Cast out the clutter and put in the good. I do the same thing with diets. It's crowd out the bad with the good.
Perfect.
Very good. I think you paused here for a minute, but.
And I'm glad you used that.
In a minute.
I love how you said that, crowding out the bad with the good.
Yeah, that's one of the main philosophies I have. And, a lot of people are overcome by sugar cravings or by processed food. And it's very important to, for some people, they say they lack the willpower to get over it. And I don't think it's a matter of willpower. It's a matter of, do your cells have the right nutrients they need to have the right information to function at an optimal level? And so you have to feed your soul, you have to feed your cells the correct food and the correct nutrients, you do that, you're going to start pushing out those cravings for sugar and salt and processed foods, and you're not even going to want it anymore. I promise. It works every time.
Yeah, and this, you just reminded me, I was going to mention the teleclass that I was on yesterday. It was called A Tale of Two Systems, the limbic system and the executive function system. Now, with organizing, sometimes we get deep into brain science. So to me, this was fascinating. But in a nutshell, no pun intended, what it really means is that if we're not feeding ourselves, like you said, with the proper nutrients, the limbic system, which is it's an ancient system, it's very prehistoric, in terms of evolutionary development, it's the emotional system. It's the hair trigger, the life-saving impulses that we have. Whereas the executive function, that's the rational system that keeps everything flowing smoothly in the body. And if we're not feeding the prefrontal cortex, which is where the executive function system lives, then we're not able to function properly at all. We have no control over our emotions, our impulses. We can't think straight. We can't plan. We can't organize. We can't relate to people. So if we're not feeding our bodies properly, it's affecting all of the functions of our bodies, and we just become these like primitive beings that have no control whatsoever.
Absolutely. I totally agree. All right, so we need to sum this up because we promised people a short and sweet meeting, and
Yep.
we're getting on. So today we've given you some tools to create a more organized kitchen and pantry, and we just thank you all for being on this call with us. And you guys are all going to be receiving our 3 free gifts in your inbox tonight with Gayle's 10 Commandments, her 7 C's of Organizing, and my guide to a healthy pantry. We're going to encourage you guys to print those out and to post them around your home because these are going to be very, very important. I know, Gayle, you mentioned you downloaded my guide to a healthy pantry and you have that on your pantry so that reminds you.
See, right.
To stock up on and everything. So we encourage you to do that. You're going to be getting that tonight, along with the recording of this webinar that you can listen to it again, or you can, if you haven't listened to it yet, that'll be your first time, of course. So just to wrap it up, we just want to make sure everybody knows how to find us. You can find me at appetiteforlife.com. And Gayle, you want to share your email address?
Sure. My website. Sure thing. It's lgorganized.com. And I'll leave you with my phone number as well if you have any questions. 201-364-6833.
Okay, great. And we're going to send that information out tonight as well. So you'll have that on your screen. And yeah. So I know
I think someone's trying to get in touch with us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we have one question come in before we go. We had a question from Kathy who sent us a great question earlier. Let me just pull that up. So Kathy says that, and Gayle, I think you'd be great to answer this question. Oh, can we get everyone to mute their, I'll make it there. There we go. So Kathy had her kitchen done 2 years ago, Gayle, and everything was rearranged, and she had they had cabinets above the stove that contained ducts for the vent fans, so only small heat resistant things can go there. There are some blind cabinets behind the stove in the dishwasher. She wants to know where she can start to help organize her kitchen.
That's a great question. And Kathy, thank you for asking it. As just a quick little bite is, if you have the time, now that you're retired, I suggest dedicating a few hours on a rainy day to totally reevaluating how the kitchen is organized. Take everything out of the cabinets, evaluate what you have, what you use, how you use it, where you use it, how accessible it needs to be, and decide what stays and what goes. Once you see what you have, you can assign zones for your things based on where you use them. So if storing things above the stove doesn't really make sense, then you'll see, oh, well, maybe with new eyes, with everything out of the cabinets, there's a better place to keep things. And if this technique doesn't fit your life and you want to do small bits at a time, start with one cabinet or drawer and use that same process, and you can refer back to the 7 C's to make the space work efficiently for you. And if you need help, give me a call. I can either walk you through it in person or we can do it on the phone, FaceTime, or a Zoom meeting.
Great. Thank you so much for answering that. I hope that helps Kathy and anyone else who has the same problem. So, Gayle, I think we're out of time for today. And again, we just want to thank you for collaborating with me and bringing this information to people, and for taking time to be on this call. We want to thank everybody for taking time to listen. And again, Gayle and I are available for consultations and for answering any further questions that you might have about kitchen organization or pantry organization or cooking in general. I think those would be directed to me. And we're here for you. So please take advantage of that. And we will be, like I said, sending out the recording and the resources tonight. And we very much look forward to any feedback that you would like to share with us. So until then, we thank you again, and we hope you have a fabulously organized day.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Karen. This was great fun.
Oh, thank you. All right.